Hello, this is Jasmine, and today we're painting a galaxy kitty cat. So I'm following Galacticat's tutorial, and I will put a link down below for how she does galaxies. And I'm also doing this as a birthday present because she's Galacticat, so I thought Galaxy Cat, it would be a cute present. And I haven't been following her for very long, but she is just amazing. I watch her streams on Twitch, and she streams pretty frequently. And she just has this really amazing community that I felt welcomed into right away, even though I haven't been following for very long. And I just wanted to paint something for her, kind of as like a happy birthday and a thanks for accepting me into your community, because it's very, very lovely. She does a lot of really inspiring watercolor works and pet portraits and a lot of Pokemon stuff. I mostly catch the Pokemon streams just because of what day they're on. And we just all really have a fun time in the chat. It's a really fun stream. I'm not going to go into any of the specifics on what I'm doing in this video just because I am following a tutorial. So again, that will be in the description below. I don't feel the need to go through all of it. And I'm certainly not as adept at the technique as Galacticat. I have never painted a galaxy before. This is my very first time. I've done galaxies before in like digital art, but that's extremely different. I will say that one of my biggest struggles was just because I believe the type of paints that I use, which is Winsor and Newton paints, they don't spread as much as others do. I haven't necessarily used other watercolors, but when I did use ink, I believe it was India ink, and I touched it to wet paper, it just like bloomed out and spread all over, while these paints tend to just stick a lot more localized to where I put them down, and I have to push them around and spread them a bit. It works out pretty well for an animal that has a pattern, but there were a few times, like on the sides of the face, where I thought that the pigment would spread all the way to like the edges very clearly, but instead it just kind of stopped near the edges, and I had to go over those again later. As for the kitty itself, I was partially inspired by this little stone cat that I got at the state fair recently. It's right there next to the heart in this video, and it's like all sparkly blue and glittery. I was also inspired by calico cats. I was going to make this a calico galaxy cat, but it ended up looking more like a tuxedo cat. So I was gonna take different parts of the cat and have patches of different colored galaxies, like very definitive, but I kind of chickened out on that because I am not used to the technique at all. I do really love how it turned out though. I honestly had a lot of fun putting in the shading for the white parts of the cat. I don't know why, but that's always just really satisfying to see that come together. And it looked so good with the blue and purple, like galaxy kind of formations on the cat's fur pattern, which I did try and keep sort of to like stripe looking patches. So they're very, very like blurry and mixing together and galaxy-like. But I did try and keep them in almost a tabby kind of pattern, because a lot of, not necessarily tuxedo cats, like black and white cats, but I've had a lot of cats that are like tabby tuxedo kind of markings. And then I also decided to sketch in a half moon sort of pattern, or crescent moon that is, sort of pattern above the cat's head. I just thought it would be an interesting touch. It's not a true crescent moon because it's coming bottom to top, but I thought it would look cool. I don't have a whole lot more to say about the piece itself. I guess I could talk a little bit about my color choices. I was just kind of going with a blue purple for the cat, and I was thinking about doing again those patches of calico in maybe pinker tones, and since I chickened out on that, I went with pinker tones for the background, which I do like the background with its like pinkish galaxy tones. I do wish that I hadn't added stars to the background, or nearly as many at least, because it ends up detracting from the cat a little bit. I do correct that somewhat later. I can't get rid of the stars, but I can tone them down, and I also can bring out the cat a bit by adding some sparkle, which you'll see towards the very end. I also used the same pinkish tone for the cat's nose because I thought that would be a good way to work the color in somewhere else in the image. And the eyes are the only part of the entire piece that is green. I wanted to like have that be like a real pop of color there that's nowhere else, so it really draws your attention. I also used the same blue that I used in the cat's fur, or I suppose the cat's galaxies, in the background galaxy, so that we had a little more of that color cohesion. But again, I wasn't super happy with the blue in the background, so although it is still there, I did add a lot of Payne's Gray to the background to really darken some of the edges. I wanted it to have dark patches of galaxy near where the lighter colors of fur were, and then I left the darker purple colors of fur to be edged by the more reddish pinkish tones of the galaxy. And I think that that really helped it pop in a way that it wouldn't necessarily have been able to if I had just gone in completely dark with the background. I also added quite a bit of darkness around the crescent moon because I wasn't going to do it entirely around the crescent moon, but it just really needed it. It needed to pop and stand out against the background. As for the rest of my tools, I think you'll find that the only one that is a little strange that you might not have heard of is my purple pen that I work with a little bit. It is LePen brand, I suppose. It's L-E-P-E-N, and I'll put everything in the description down below. It just added a nice little bit of softer coloring because these pens, they come in a big pack of colors, are very pastel, but I had to be careful and make sure that I did that absolutely at the end as far as shading and watercolor goes, because it will bleed with water. And I used a white gel pen to add highlights, of course, but then I also used my white gel pen to add the funnest part of all, but also kind of the most tedious part, which is adding all of the little stars. And yes, I know there would not be stars in that part of a real crescent moon, but this is more like a symbol than an actual crescent moon. It's, I don't know, magic or something. It's all sparkly. But anyways, I go in with my white gel pen, and I had to go through a couple of them before I found my white gel pen that works really well. I have one Gellyroll that's kind of a dud. It works, but not well. And then I have one that works really good. And then I have a different white gel pen that doesn't work as well. After I go in with the white gel pen though, I go in with glitter, and that is so fun. I have a glittery gel pen, and I had a lot of fun adding the acrylic glittery medium to the cat to make the cat stand out more against the background, which isn't glittery. And I also used that to fill in the moon and make it very, very shiny. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. I post twice a week, or at least I try to. And thanks for stopping by.